So a woman writes that the first time that she went bungee jumping, she was scared to death. She didn't see herself as a risk taker, but here she found herself on a deserted bridge. And the way it happened was she was out with a group of girlfriends, and they were talking about crazy things they had done in their life. And she couldn't think of any, which really got the girls teasing her quite a bit. And so she said, well, I've always thought about bungee jumping, but I've never done it. Well, that got the girls going, oh, we got to do this, And they said they do it too, but she had to go first. And one of the boyfriends did it for a hobby, so they had a way to do it. And so here she found herself standing on a deserted bridge over a river, 300 feet down, with a glorified rubber band around her ankles. And it was windy. And she asked herself, what am I doing here? Maybe I should get off this bridge. Maybe I should go home. Why am I doing this? And then she said, why not? And so she jumped off. She said, what a thrill. I screamed all the way down and all the way back up. And to have that feeling of weightlessness, just to fly like a bird just for a moment. And she said, I can't wait to do it again. So what's the most exciting thing you've ever done that really excited you and got you energized? One of the most exciting things I've ever done was when I was 16, I went to work for a missionary one summer in Honduras in Central America through our United Church Board for World Ministries. The missionary was a veterinarian, and he had donated a year service to go help people in the third world. And so I went down one summer to help him, and we bopped around the countryside helping people with their agricultural and their animal needs. And so it got kind of thrilling, when I was, I just barely started driving, and you found yourself on mountain roads that were dirt. And, no luxury of like guardrails or warning signs or any of those kind of things. But it was one of the most exciting things I've ever done. What about you? What's been exciting in your life? My hunch is it's been something that you've given your whole heart to. Whether it's been a building project or a project you worked on or a group project you've done. I know we have some Red Sox fans here today. We can't say that too loud, but they're all excited about their group experience. I just want to know, are those guys going to shave now? Or at least trim up those beards a little bit or something? I don't know. But that, you get caught up in the excitement of giving of yourself. And my hunch is that when you give of yourself, you get caught up in the thrill of the experience. Well, our scripture today is about Zacchaeus, who got caught up in the excitement of the moment. And the reason why Zacchaeus was up in that tree is because he was shunned by his fellow Jews because he was a tax collector. He collected taxes for the Romans, and the Romans were oppressors. And the way you ran an empire back those days, you skimmed off the resources of the conquered people. And that was his job. And so his job was to collect as much taxes as possible and turn it in, and what was left over was his profit. So he wasn't seen in very high esteem, and yet his heart needed something. He heard about this guy, Jesus, that was going through town. And Jesus was on his way to Jerusalem, some 23 miles away. And if you can think about the Middle East, there's Jericho down here and Jerusalem up here. And it was the last place they would stop before they made the trek up into Jerusalem. And so the city was crowded. And he couldn't get out to see Jesus. So he ran up and ran into to see Jesus. All he wanted to do was to see Jesus. But there was one thing that changed his heart. Jesus talked to him and said, Zacchaeus, I need to stay at your house tonight. And that turned Zacchaeus' heart, and you heard his reaction. He was so full of joy that when he was challenged of why Jesus would go to his house, he sought reconciliation. And so he said, I'll give half what I possess away, and I'll compensate anybody I've defrauded 4 times. And Jesus said, truly, this is a son of Abraham, and he was restored. I've always wondered whether Zacchaeus ever collected taxes again. That's what Jesus does, is that it changes our heart and moves us to do exciting things. Well, we're kind of in an exciting time here at Union Congregational as we get ready to pledge next week. And Andy's kind of got us ready for that, to get us ready. And one of the things I've discovered, that I'm an outsider, so I've discovered that you're a pretty exciting congregation. You have done and you are doing exciting things. There's hardly any United Church of Christ in this area that has 2 ministers, that has a wonderful youth program, that has an exciting children's ministry, that has choirs that warm our hearts, that have our sanctuary choir. And we do all those exciting things because we get excited about spreading the good news of Jesus Christ and giving of ourselves to make it happen. And so I invite us to kind of have that bungee jumping experience of taking that leap of faith when we get ready to pledge. Because that's what it's about. To me, it's about percentage giving. When I was thinking about getting ready for today, I was thinking, my wife and I, Nancy, we've been married for 12 years. We've been tithers our entire marriage, giving 10% of what we receive back to the Lord in thanksgiving. And I've thought about it as, my comfort level is probably more being a half tither. But Nancy keeps saying, let's take this leap of faith, and so we do. And you know, all these wonderful things keep happening in our lives as we get blessings back. And so I invite us all to consider to take that leap of faith. And as Andy says, maybe give 10% more next year, or look at what your combined giving right now between the capital fund and the operating fund and just keep giving that. Or to go up 1%, or to take that leap of faith to be a half tither or a tither on the way to tithing. So that's where that card comes in. So get that card out of your bulletin. See this little card that's in your bulletin? On your bulletin, there's a card. It looks like that. One side says, I will prayerfully consider supporting Union. And you're the only one that's ever going to see this card. Nobody's going to see this card. And I want you to envision what number you would write on this card that would give you joy for 2014. And while you're thinking about that number, I want to tell you a story. As you know, the Garrison Keillor was one of my favorite authors, and he tells the story about one of his characters, a 50-something man who got up on Sunday morning to get ready for church, and he was standing in the shower when he had that episode, you know, when he got that sudden pain down his left arm. And it hurt hard enough that, you know, his life flashed before his eyes and wondered about, is this it? But then it went away, and so he got ready for church and was sitting in church, just like you folks are. And while he was sitting there listening to the sermon, thinking about, you know, his health and his life and all those kind of things, and as the minister was preaching, he realized that he forgot to fill out a check for the offering. So he got his emergency check out of his wallet, and while the preacher was sermoning, he was trying not to look, to write out how much he was going to give. And he thought he wrote down $50. But then, when the time for the offering, and they passed the plate, and he dropped it in the plate, he noticed that he'd added another zero. It now said $500. He had given the Lord everything in his checking account, and maybe a little bit more. And then he thought, maybe I ought to just kind of sneak down during the closing hymn and tell the guys counting the money, guys, I made a mistake. It's only $50, not $500. But you know, he said, as I sat there thinking about all the blessings in my life, I was fully alive. And I didn't think about what happened that morning because I had the joy of giving in my heart. What makes you feel fully alive and makes you excited about what you're doing. So have you figured out your number yet? So write down that number about what you think will be a joyful gift to God for 2014. And then what I want you to do is I want you to take that card home, slip it in your pocket or in your purse, and get it out today and put it in a prominent place. You know, like where your car keys are, or on the refrigerator, or when you pick up your license to go to work, whatever. And I want you to look at it every day. Look at that and pray about it. Is that the number? Is that the number that's going to make me feel fully alive as a disciple of Christ? Is that what I want to do, to express my gratitude to God and to be part of this partnership we call Union Congregation? Yes, like Zacchaeus, and like that woman on the bridge, it's time to climb a tree, and it's time to take that leap of faith. Let's get ready to jump.